Ankh and Ma'at, we have certainly had a real bundle of issues today, and Spectrum has been an issue as well. We've also had some challenges with our tech, but most of this is our internet. Sometimes internet is an issue. I'm going to say to you that we had tons of issues with internet when we were in Ghana, and we're having tons of issue with internet when we're in Harlem. This is just one of those things. The world that we're in right now demands you to have high speed internet, particularly as we are still mired in the midst of this pandemic. This has been the way everyone is connected. And so I believe that this also means that everyone is drawing bandwidth, and the Spectrum trunk has been on our block every single day. We might actually be upgrading to a new service soon, but just know that this is all an issue and it is driving us crazy. Hopefully, it didn't drive you too crazy this afternoon, this morning, depending on where you are. And I hope that everything is going well for you. We want to welcome you back to Kemetic Ascension for December 19th, 2021. Hopefully, you will not be having any more issues with this broadcast. You'll be able to see us clearly now. So why don't you just, and I'm afraid to ask, but I need to know, are you able to hear us clearly? Are you able to see us clearly? Let us know that.
It's great.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Good. So, and I'm surprised we didn't get 8 texts from Abutsa Shara. Was she texting you?
No.
Abutsa is one of, I mean,
Yeah.
she was?
I wasn't seeing
She was. Listen, our priests, the Wenwet, are the leaders of the Shrine of Ma'at, but because of the pandemic, we do everything virtually, right? And I know that sometimes they even feel helpless because they know that what happens in Kemetic Ascension, what happens in the shrine is their responsibility too, right? So when something goes wrong, they're like, how can we help? How can we help? And they're not here. So I know that that could be frustrating for them too, especially for one of the folks that always focuses on the details like a boots a shot. So I know she was wondering how could she help, but she's in Connecticut. It's not like she's in Harlem. So anyway, we're glad that we have you back. Hopefully things will move smoothly from here. We'll try to have them move as smoothly as we can. We're going to try to not use as many bells and whistles because I know that even Anika is concerned that if we stress the system too much, that we might have some issues. But definitely we are back and we're so happy to be here with you. We are also a bit tired, as you can imagine, because those of you who have been following us should know that we just got back late Friday night from Ghana. Or technically, we moved from Ghana back to Kemet and then back to New York. And things that it was a really, I mean, we traveled for more than 24 hours. So we're still feeling it a little bit. I know yesterday I was up doing some things and all of a sudden I found myself sleeping. I didn't go to sleep. I didn't notice I was sleeping. I just woke up. So, I am tired. And so that's part of this too. But you know that we really try to make sure that Kemetic Ascension is something that our community has every 2 weeks, whether it is snowing, raining, sleeting, or the internet is going buggy. So welcome once again. And let's do our regular beginning. How do we usually start? I ask you where you are in the world and how long you've been part of Kemetic Ascension. Where are you in the world? And how long have you been part of Kemetic Ascension? Please let us know. Let's pretend that this session started and is running smoothly like we wanted it to. It's not almost 1 o'clock, but it's actually just after 12. Let's just pretend that things are going as smoothly as they can. Now, Anika, I know that our Kemetic ancestors lived at a time thousands of years from now. Who is the deity that is in charge of internet? Would that be Chehuti? I think so, right? I think that would be Chehuti. So we're asking Chehuti's assistance for this to run smoothly. Do we have answers? I wish you could see Anika's face. She looks white right now. She's taking long blinks. You know those long blinks where you think someone might be sleeping like this? She's taking those long blinks right now.
Well, I just have to say thank you for the Shaffers for hanging in there. They're back.
Yes, the Shaffers are back. And let me just go ahead and say, and we'll say more about them in a moment. that we were so honored to be able to meet them in person. We have been communicating virtually all these weeks, and to be able to be in Ghana, for them to travel several hours to meet us was amazing. And so we'll show you some pics of that as well.
And so Abu Sashad, of course, is in the house.
Abu Sashad is there. Abu Sashad is one of those ride or die priests, boy. I'm telling you, she's there.
And welcome back to that, Cheryl.
Welcome back to that. Still in Houston, right? You didn't go back to DMV? You didn't go back to DMV? We were offline long enough for you might have been able to make that journey.
She is in the house.
Sanet Tashi is in the house?
Yes, she is.
Full members are there. What's up, Sanet Tashi?
And we have Anjani Nikon. I'm sorry if I said that wrong, Malo. Anjani Nikon Malo. Tell us where you're from.
That's a new name, isn't it? I don't think I've heard that one before.
Yeah, let us know where you
Welcome,
are.
welcome.
And Brother Jason Holmes.
Brother Jason Holmes, how are you? Send Jason. Just spoke to him Thursday from Cairo.
Wonderful.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Marcus Monsalunsa Morgan is back.
He's back again. And I had asked what neighborhood of Queens you were from, because we rep in Queens. I was raised in Queens Village. He's one of the few people that knows what the heck I'm talking about. Isn't that area around Hollis and, all that area over there, Cambria Heights, it's the Southeast Queens area where there's that black enclave there. Where are you in Queens?
And Sanette Lucille Scott, welcome. Good
Oh, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm glad you're here.
Wonderful. We have Kanisha Mosley.
Wonderful.
Amber Langoria.
Wonderful. You all are not telling us the other parts. Remember, where are you in the world, and how long have you been part of this?
Daria Warre is here.
Wonderful. Wonderful. That name is familiar, so I've heard that name before.
The yoga man is in the house.
Which yoga man? Yasir Rahotep is there?
No, the only yoga man.
Yasir Rahotep is there. Brother, we have been following, as we have been traveling, we have been following the transformation of your amazing space in Bronzeville, in Chi-Town. His space is looking incredible. Anika and I cannot wait to get there. I know that we're scheduled to be there. I think it's the last weekend in February. We have talked about trying to get there sooner. So if we just knock on your door, just have some salad ready for us. This brother always got salad, so he would have salad and soup or whatever. But we are anxious to see how your new endeavor is going. And committed as the Shrine of Ma'at, you should know Yasir Rahotep we are working diligently so that he will, I shouldn't be saying this publicly, but I'm going to say it publicly, so that he will be a formal part of the Shrine of Ma'at. When I say formal, he will be recognized as one of the priests of the Shrine of Ma'at. And we need to do as much as we can with yoga skills and Priest Yasir with the Shrine of Ma'at. We're trying to do lots more together. He is our close friend, dear friend, and our comrade in the Kemetic tradition. Let's call it that. And so we're excited about his new endeavor. We almost feel like it's our new endeavor. We keep looking and we're like, well, this looks hot. Look, it's hot. So anyway, we're glad to hear that you're on.
All right, Sanette Tracy out in Indianapolis.
Sanette Tracy.
Virgo Venom.
Virgo Venom. Ankin Ma'at to you. Ankin Ma'at. Who else?
Lady Pavo TV.
Okay, I don't know if I know that one. That's relatively new. Welcome.
Let's see. Deshran Balka.
Welcome.
Michelle Cameron Isaacs. Good to see you.
Welcome. And I'm still thinking about Yasir space. Folks, if you're anywhere near Chicago or plan to be in Chicago, you should be signing up for your Kemetic yoga classes. We have to support those entities so that they continue to exist. So please go ahead and get down and find out what's going on over there.
Brother Robert James out in London, UK.
London. He's often the person that's furthest away. So Ankin Ma'at to you, Brother Robert. It's good to see that you're back.
Sean Black.
Wonderful. Ankin Ma'at.
Sanette Newt is in the house.
Sanette Newt, how are you? Was there something I was supposed to answer her on? I feel like right before we left, she asked a question and I didn't answer it. Did we either answer that video?
I thought so, but
Sanette Newt, you sent us something to look at. I thought it was beautiful, but we were kind of getting together to prepare to travel. I don't know if I responded to you. Can you let me know if we responded? Just shoot me a text and let us know.
Okay. We have Heru Asar Ankh Amun-Ra, Dallas, Texas.
Go ahead, Heru Asar. Ankin Ma'at to you. Ankin Ma'at.
And Darian is repping St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis. We say Missouri, but they say Missouri, right? Do you say Missouri where you are?
I hope we're correct. Jennifer Tidwell, welcome.
Welcome.
From Ohio.
Welcome.
2 years with us. Darius
Nice.
has been with us for 6 years.
Nice.
And with the Shrine for 2. So the Kemetic journey for 6 years and the Shrine for 2.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
She's getting seasoned up there with 6 years. That's a long time for many people.
There's Sean Anderson, welcome.
Wow. Welcome.
Amber Longoria is back. Fort Hood, Central Texas with us for 2 years.
Welcome. We tend to hear a lot from Texas, and I know Texas is one of the largest states in the largest. I think it's the largest state in the union by size. I think California is the largest by population, but we tend to hear a lot from Texas. We need to figure out how we're going to do more there, even in person as well, I think.
And Jenna Cohn is back from Naples, Florida.
Ankin Ma'at, I'm glad you're back, even though you had to deal with the craziness that we were dealing with here. Ankin Ma'at.
We have Jabal El Tariq out in Hell's Kitchen.
Ankin Ma'at, Hell's Kitchen. Yeah, we've heard that one before. Ankin Ma'at, Hell's Kitchen's not far from here. Hell's Kitchen's not far. Do they even call it Hell's Kitchen anymore based on all of the gentrification that's going on in all these neighborhoods? Man, I'm telling you.
Is this Naboo Kemet Spectrum Inc.? Or NBW? I'm assuming it's in Naboo.
We know who that is, right?
Yeah, Kemet Spectrum. I don't remember who it's attached to.
But we know that person.
Yeah.
They're part of the shrine. They're one. I think they're one of our full members. It's just we don't recognize the name right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and Jason says congrats on Chief and Queen Mother.
Yes. Dwa. I spoke to him just a few days ago. We were exhausted. I think it was like 2 a.m. when I was talking to him where we were. Ankin Ma'at.
Abu Kasekanwi is in the house.
Abu Kasekanwi, also known as Abu Tehuti. We like Kasekanwi, so we're going to start calling him Kasekanwi, which is the beginning of his name. Also known as Abu Zephaniah, Ankin Ma'at. Good to hear that you're there.
So Michelle Cameron Isaacs from upstate New York, but originally a Harlemite.
There's a lot of questions I have, obviously. I want to know where in upstate, because Anika and I obviously met upstate. We're both New York City folks, but we met upstate. So we kind of have an idea of what upstate New York looks like. So where upstate? Let us know.
And Sen William Humphrey is in the house. And Twa'u to Dion.
Sen William Humphrey is in the house. Also known as Tahuti Forever. Can I go ahead and say that publicly that we are asking the Neteru, we are asking the ancestors to protect, to heal, and to preserve young Prince Dion. We know that he's going through a procedure. We know that it is really an elective procedure that may actually mean wonderful things for him in his life going forward. You just should know that Harlem, that Florida, that Connecticut, that Long Island, that wherever the Kemetic community is, we are thinking about Prince Dion and hoping that Jehuti, hoping that Ast, hoping that Sekhmet, hoping that all of the divine entities of healing are standing at his bed and ensuring that he will go through this struggle unscathed. And we hope that his family is feeling absolute unbridled happiness around the idea that he will be able to deal more successfully with his sickle cell condition. And so we are excited, and we really hope that you are doing well. He put that on Facebook. I could say it's sickle cell. It's on Facebook, right? I hope I didn't just spill something I shouldn't have sent to Tahuti Forever. Nika's given me the stop it sign. You should see. And he put it on Facebook. Listen, it is helpful for us to know what we are praying for. It is helpful for us when we reach out to those divine entities to be specific about what we're asking for. I want you to also be thinking about this young prince. So, okay, Anika said that's enough. Please let us continue. Go ahead.
Shout out to Brother Augustus in Brooklyn.
It's funny because we usually see Brother Augustus regularly. but the pandemic has meant that we have seen him so infrequently. Sen Augustus, I hope that you are doing well. I hope that beautiful baby, who probably is not as young as when we last saw her, is doing well. Hope the family is doing well. That good brother that we love dearly, I hope you're doing well, brother.
Sen Corey is here.
Sen Corey, wow. Which Sen Corey?
Black
Sen
Power
Corey.
Liberation Corey.
Oh, I know who we talking about. How are you, our brother Sen Corey, a full member of the Shrine of Ma'at? It is wonderful that you're with us. Hopefully we'll see you soon as well.
Oh, he's talking about his hotel suit.
Yeah, I told him he was going to have some salad and some soup. You know, he makes that hotel soup.
Larry Jackson, welcome out in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Uncle Ma'at.
We have Mitchell Guest from Boston, Massachusetts.
Uncle Ma'at.
Alicia Bradley from Battle Creek, Michigan.
Wonderful.
Tanita Jackson, welcome. Where are you from? Let us know. With Henry Maxwell. He says, congratulations on your African acceptance in Ghana.
Dwa.
Thank you.
Dwa. We're going to talk a bit about it in a moment.
We have Chiquita Smith, Asheville, North Carolina. 4 years.
Welcome.
You know, I was in Connecticut, so reach out to Boots and Shot.
You know, we always forget that the end of December is when the Shrine of Ma'at had its first meeting. Let me say this. It's when the Shrine of Ma'at as a public entity had its first meeting. Mm-hmm. And also when Kemetic Ascension began. Mm-hmm. So whenever we get to this point, we're at some sort of anniversary that we forget. But it's wonderful that we're back here with you. Mm-hmm. I'm going to try to remember what year it was that we did. The first public event that we had, other than our Ankh ceremony, was actually the winter solstice celebration in Central Park. It was the first one we had. So we have to look at what year that was, mm-hmm. so that we're clear about what's going forward, about how long we've been doing this going forward.
Brother Yashir has declared that he has a Chicago branch of the Shrine of Ma'at.
Yes. Listen, he's been doing that, doing that incredible work for decades. It would be crazy for us not to work together. It would just be stupid, right? Because he's doing what he's doing, we were doing what we're doing. They not only are very similar, but they also work well together. And so we are trying to bring more Kemetic yoga into what the Shrine of Ma'at does, because it is one of the primary health modalities. And so we're excited that we get to work more closely with our brother, someone that we've been really close to for like 20 years. I mean, he's really one of our best friends.
We have Larry Chandler out in North Philly since 2015. Julian St. Pierre, let us know where you are. Joanne Jahi Adisa is out in Columbus, Georgia.
Wonderful.
Let's see. Mr. Untouchable. There's beautiful Ascension ceremonies. I'm a fan. Your brother from the Bahamas.
Wonderful. We'll be in the Bahamas soon, hopefully. My father's ancestral home. Part of my father's family ancestral home.
Oh, Michelle Cameron Isaac says that she met us back at Source of Knowledge bookstore.
Wow.
9 years ago.
It's been a while since we've been out there in Newark to Source of Knowledge, but it's certainly one of those places that people of African descent and those who have been awakened from the sleep that we've been placed in. Many of us have been placed in here in the West. It's one of the places you need to get to. So if you can, please do. It's good to see you online and know that we've met you in person.
We have Yasharia Sakina Ra. I hope I said that right. The spiritual name for Donna Jones out in North Carolina.
Ankh and Ma'at.
And Julian St. Pierre says he's out in Quebec, Canada, Montreal, Quebec.
Nice.
Oh, poor. Okay. Sister Newt said we did not respond. So.
We didn't respond. We meant to.
We talked about it.
We talked about it. We both looked at it. We both talked about it. But we were in the midst of preparing to travel. And sometimes what happens is, I think Anika responded. Anika thought I responded. We talk about it and we don't respond. That happens sometimes. But it usually happens mostly when we're really, really frantic. And so we were preparing for travel, preparing for our installment, and so it fell through the cracks. So you should know that when we looked at the video, we thought it looked beautiful. And so please, we will respond, okay? We will respond. But the thing you sent us looked really beautiful.
Burgess Taylor is back in Las Vegas.
Burgess Taylor?
Mm-hmm.
Vergus Taylor. Do I know Vergus Taylor? Did I meet you when I was in Vegas, Vergus? Brother Vergus? Send Vergus? We definitely will be. I'll be back in Vegas soon. So.
And we already have questions about today's session. You know, how did our ancestors celebrate the start of winter solstice?
We are going to in a minute.
See, Nicholas Mike is here from Miami. Been with us for 2 years now.
Ankin Ma'at.
See, Lisa Speedway. Hey, how you doing?
Ankin Ma'at.
Way of merging her name.
One of our full members, Ankin Ma'at. Okay. Good to hear. Was Lisa always in Philadelphia?
Lisa Speedway?
Yeah.
Attaway. I want to say Speedway.
Were you always in Philadelphia, Senate Lisa? I think so, you know. I think she was always in Philadelphia.
Denise Haywood, welcome.
Ankin Ma'at. And I'm asking if you're always in Philadelphia because I always think I'm thinking about the Philly people. And I don't know if in my brain I put you in the Philly box. We should because we plan on doing a lot in Philly soon.
Sekou Kelly out in Ontario, Canada.
Another Ontario person.
Yes.
We have a full member out there, by the way, in Ontario. Oh goodness, now I'm gonna forget his name. Come on, you know who I'm talking about. He's in the military now.
Of course.
It's gonna come to me. I can see his face and I'm forgetting his name. Look at that. Look, man, I haven't had much sleep in the last 3 weeks, so it'll come to me.
Oh my goodness.
Go ahead.
L. Lion Tucker in Austin.
At Austin, Texas?
Yes.
Ankin Ma'at.
Bayette, Washington, in Denver, Colorado.
Ankin Ma'at.
William Stevens, also known as Broken Pansy, out in North Philly.
He's in Philly. Yeah. Ankin Ma'at. It's
Lee
good
McCoy.
To hear from you.
We have a lot of our initiates.
Lee McCoy, Ankin Ma'at, holding down Alabama. Good to hear from you, dear brother.
Oh my goodness. So many people.
Are we ready? There's a lot more?
I think that's everybody.
Seems like a lot today.
Yeah.
But it could also be because we've said some names more than once because we had some tech issues.
Yeah.
So you should know that when we begin with that ritual that was brought into its current form by our elder, Heru Jedin Ma'at Atin.
I'm sorry, everybody.
I'm saying my own name.
We're so delirious.
By our elder, the Ankh Man,
Heru Ankh
Ra Samad Se Patal, say it slowly. Heru Ankh Ra Samad Se Patah, also known as Baba Heru. It is wonderful that he gave us this ceremony known as the opening of the way. And so you know that before we do anything of importance, we do the opening. So please join me. Come forward. My throat is a bit dry. Let's begin. And you know that we begin by standing in the position of adoration, which is your left foot forward. And you're also at the same time going to put your palms forward in front of you, and you're going to expose them in front of you so that you can feel energy. Then you're going to take this left hand and push it a bit further forward than your right hand. You can also have the right hand a bit further down. Okay, this is known as the position of adoration. It's a position that you are going to see our ancestors mirror on papyri and on walls of temples and tombs for thousands of years. It is a position that allows you to both give and receive energy. And so as we stand here, we do as our ancestors have done. At this point, we're going to take a nice deep breath from your abdomen, and we're going to chant the word of divine everlasting life, Ankh. Let's begin.
Anetrak in Bethet.
Anetrak in Bethet.
Nuke in Bethet.
Nuke in Bethet. Anetrak Hapi.
Anetrak Hapi.
Nuke Hapi.
Nuke Hapi.
Twao in Tur.
Twao in Tur.
Turn right.
Anetrak Serket.
Anetrak Serket.
Nuke Serket.
Nuke Serket. Anetrak Kebsenuf.
Anetrak Kebsenuf.
Nuke Kebsenuf.
Nuke Kebsenuf.
Twelve Inter.
12 Inter. Anetrak Ast.
Anetrak Ast.
Nuke Ast.
Nuke Ast. Anetrak Amset.
Anetrak Amset.
Nuke Amset.
Nuke Amset.
12 Inter.
12 Inter. Anetrak Neat.
Anetrak Neat.
Nuke Neat.
Nuke Neat. Anetrak Dwamutef.
Anetrak Dwamutef.
Nuke Dwamutef.
Nuke Dwamutef.
12 Inter.
12 Inter. Anetrak Newt.
Anetrak Newt.
Nuke Newt.
Nuke Newt. Anetrak Geb.
Anetrak Geb.
Nuke Geb.
Nuke Geb.
12 Inter.
12 Inter.
Anetrak Shu.
Anetrak Shu.
Shu. Shu. Shu. Shu. Nuke Shu.
Anetrak Tefnut.
Anetrak Tefnut. 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 Nuke Tefnut. 12 Inter.
Anetrak
Paut
Interu.
Nuke Paut Interu. Anetrak and Boo Interu. Nuke and Boo Interu. 12 Inter. Dwa Winter. Dwa, 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 dwa. Dwa for doing the opening of the way with us. Remember, it is a ceremony that reminds you of just how powerful you are. It reminds you that you are the stuff of the stars, that you are the divine entity. And if you recall that you are the entity, that means that all of the things that are around you, all of those things that seem to beset you, all those things that seem to trouble you, all those things that seem to stop you, to get in your way, to turn you aside, are things that you can have dominion over because you are a divine entity. That is why this ritual is so important. So we hope that you will do the opening of the way whenever you are doing anything of importance. And we always say your day is always something that you should see as important. So please do the opening of the way at least once a day. Ankanman. Yes. Is he there?
Lisa just gave us his information.
Juntima Atra. Yes, he's in Ontario. See, I knew that I was going to, look, Juntima Atra is in Ontario. He's the full member that is in Ontario, Canada. And for whatever reason, I don't know why his name wasn't firing in my cells, my brain cells. It's not like I don't speak to him. But definitely, we are in that point. And by the way, it's good that we're talking about our full members because you should know that the application to become a full member of the Shrine of Ma'at is now online. It's been online for a little bit less than a month. So if you want to become a full member, if you want to become an initiate, if you want to go through all of the rites that allow you to have access to all of the things that the Shrine of Ma'at does, you should go to our website at shrineofma'at.org, shrineofma'at.org, and look for the initiation application. It is important. Please, we know that there are so many of you that have been with us over the course of these years, and you should be full members with us. You really should be. We are about to grow. You know that we're about to grow into Arizona. We're actually also doing quite a bit in Ghana, West Africa, and we plan to do more. We need you to help us along this journey to resurrect the spiritual traditions of our African ancestors. You cannot say that we have totally thrown off the fetters of white supremacy, the chains of our enslavement, if we are still using the spiritual traditions that were forced upon us as enslaved, as subjugated people. We must return to our African spiritual traditions. This is of critical importance in our resurrection. And so we are asking that you join us in this struggle. So we would love for you to go ahead, get your application, and submit them. Get the application and submit them. Listen, we're not going to accept everyone. We have a limited number of seats. So don't wait till last minute, because then you will be left out. Please make sure that you are doing it very soon. All right. So at this point of our session, we go into what we call Hesi. Hesi is what our ancestors did as they worshiped, as they prayed, but they did this in chanting and in harmony. Hesi is a powerful, powerful, powerful thing. And so we are going into Hesi. And I want to say, as we do this, that we are looking to actually show you another, to present to you another one of the amazing works of that couple known as the Shaffers. We are so honored to have met them in person now. They are doing some wonderful things in Ghana, West Africa. We know that they're going to be part of our movements to the west coast of Africa. It was wonderful that they traveled all the way from sort of the capital region. They live in an area near Accra, all the way to the central region so that they could be with us. And they also were able to be at our installment, which was amazing. And so we were so honored to be able to see them. And we absolutely we love their sound. The things that they're doing in terms of the sound are amazing. And so we're excited. We're absolutely excited. You look like you wanted to say something.
I'm just happy that we were able to connect. It was a really busy time in Ghana.
It really was.
And we were trying to find ways of getting to know each other better, and even just talking about the future of the shrine in Ghana and the role that the Shaffers will definitely be playing there. So, it's a lot more discussion that we need to have, a lot more time that we need to spend with each other. We're just very grateful that they did spend as much time as they did with us.
Oh, they came and spent the whole weekend.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, we were running around, so we didn't even get to spend the time during that weekend that we wanted to with them. Our time was not our own because we were actually beholden to the chiefs as they put us through the paces for us to be chiefs. More on that in a few moments. But I want you to know that this couple has been doing some amazing things. Sometimes they listen to a Hesi we've done, and Anika and I may be struggling doing it. You know that the Neteru have given Brother Jabari many gifts, but a singing voice is not one of them. It didn't come in the box. When I unwrapped it, there was no singing voice or tune carrying in that box. And so it's amazing that Anika's laughing too much. She's not supposed to find it that funny. She's not supposed to find it that funny. And so it's wonderful that they'll sometimes hear our Hesi and then go and do something really professional and inferral and beautiful with it. So without further ado, let's hear a Hesi from the Shaffers. Go into screen. No, don't do it that way. You have the speaker down on this. That's why. That's why. You don't need to have the speaker off. You don't need to put it to 100 either. You might not be showing it. You might not be showing it. Beautiful, beautiful. I really do love that. Beautiful, beautiful. And it's the Hesse that Anika and I wrote, actually. The Iau Iau Asar Neteru. It is our Asar Hesse. And so to hear them actually do it so wonderfully is amazing. So they are not only reworking and professionally mastering and singing the Hesse that come directly from the Shrine of Maat, but they are making their own. And so they've been doing some wonderful things. And we look forward to meeting and hanging out and just eating and chilling with them. Hopefully the next time we go to Ghana, we'll do more of that because we won't have quite as much. We'll have more control of our time. In this particular time, we didn't have quite as much control. They were also able, part of what we did when we were in Ghana, we were also able to spend time with the the African Diaspora Development Initiative, ADDI. So many of you have asked us about it, and you should just know that we're actually simply we have been working with some of the folks that are connected to it, and so it was amazing. We were there. We did some of the things that were part of the conference. There was even an award for the chiefs that occurred. We had an amazing time, and the Chafers were part of it. Anika, I don't know if you can even show some of the images. You probably have heard by now, if you didn't just hear it just now, that Anika and I were made Chief and Queen Mother in one of the largest areas of Ghana by population, in the city known as Moree, Moree. It's in the central region, and there are literally over 1 million people that we believe are citizens of Moree. It is a wonderful, wonderful honor to be able to not just be welcomed home, but to be given a position of stature. They are expecting us to assist them in so many different ways, and also to assist them in bringing Kemetic spirituality back to West Africa. And so we're absolutely excited to be able to do that. We're excited that that we'll be playing the role that we're going to be playing. And so we are primed to do more stuff. Are you showing them images?
I'm not going to be able to show them everything. It seems like it's just showing tiles.
What do you mean tiles? You just know that as we are looking at, where's the folder? As we are talking about some of the things that we've been able to do, one of the things that we've done is we've been able in many ways to just simply be. One of the amazing things about being in Ghana is that you are able to experience Africa in a way that is really amazing and novel in some ways. And so we're excited. Here goes ourselves with the chief that we work with most closely, Nana Kwa David Whitaker, Nakra Pramada, the first. And so that is amazing. We're glad that we were there with him. Wait, let me see. Trying to organize these things. You know that our laptop is screaming here. I wanted to go to the next image. And it's not quite letting me do that. I don't want to do it on slideshow. Didn't want to do it that way because then I can't make it larger. So just know that as we are talking to you, we're doing quite a bit. And we're hoping that doing doing this amazing work will allow us to do more on the continent. And doing more on the continent is kind of ancestral work, right? These are the kinds of things that we plan to do that are so much different than the things that we thought we'd be able to do. I mean, it is amazing when you can go back to the continent of Africa. You know that Anika and I are building a home there. Soon we'll be building a shrine there. It is exciting. It is exciting. Anika and I are planning to file for dual citizenship so that we'll also be citizens of Ghana. As we are chiefs there, as we are part of some of the development initiatives there, we believe that we will shortly be granted citizenship there. And I'm going to tell you something amazing will happen in my spirit when I can leave the borders of this nation with something other than simply the passport of the United States. Now, let's be clear. I'm not giving up the United States. I'm not. As difficult as our time has been here, as abusive as the folks of the United States have been to people of African descent, the reality that we want to do, the reality is that we have a lot of work left to do here. And our ancestors, most recently, have bled, sweat, and died to build this nation. I am not giving it up without a fight. However, that doesn't mean that I need to relinquish my ties, that I need to continue to allow my ties to the continent to go fallow. I am expecting that we will become bicontinental, that we'll be coming to you from Ghana and coming to you from the United States, from Harlem, many times a year. And so we're excited about that concept. We're excited to have met and been part of communities there and to be doing work there. So all I can say is that as we talk to you about what we're doing, I hope you recognize we're not just talking to you about what Anika and Jabari Osaze are doing. We're talking to you about what is going to happen for the Shrine of Ma'at. Something very different will happen when we are able to even take Kemetic spirituality back to the continent of Africa. Let me say to you that the folks of Maury, every person in Maury, every child in Maury has heard the story, their folkloric story that says that their city was established by a priest that left Kemet. That's the story that they've been telling for many years. That the area that they live in was established by a priest that left Kemet. So this is exciting. I know it's exciting for us. You know, when I'm walking around New York City, sometimes people say, "Why are you carrying that cross with you?" Well, I'm telling you that in Ghana, no one says that. They say, "Why do you have a large ankh in your hand?" And once we tell them that we're a Kemetic priest, we have to almost run away because they begin to ask where we are meeting, when we are meeting, who they should speak to, how do they get down. Ghana is ready and primed for us to be able to return to the continent through that doorway. And so I really hope that you will be following what the chief priest of the Shrine of Ma'at are doing, because the Shrine of Ma'at is going to have a base on the continent of Africa very, very soon. And we hope that you will be joining us there. Okay. So, and I should say before I move on that in the coming weeks, I'm going to actually be putting together a lecture that I'll be showing part of you, that I'll be sharing part of it in Kemetic Ascension, that describes some of the connections between ancient Kemet and the west coast of Africa. We're going to be talking about it because I really do believe that it is of importance for us to understand just where our African ancestors went, where their traditions had the most influence, and we need to once again claim the traditions of ancient Africa and not allow Europeans to try to describe those great progenitors of the society, the civilization, the nation that gave so much to the rest of humanity as something other than African. I cannot wait to be able to start showing you some of the things that we have heard, the things that we have studied, the things that we've done over the course of the last few years. And so very excited about it, and you're going to see it soon. Okay, so today what I want to talk to you about in what we call the word from the Seba'it, and I know that we are really behind schedule because of our earlier technical issues. What I want to talk to you about is what we should clearly call the winter solstice celebration. And of course, if you're unaware, you should know that our African ancestors focused on the movements of Ra. They absolutely focused on the movements of those heavenly bodies because they understood more than most people do the concept the fundamental principle of as above, so below, more than most people do, more than most people have in the history of humanity. And so, having said that, one of the things that I want to be able to do is prime you for one of the major periods. I'm not sure why. Now, of course, we're just having trouble with our tech today. It happens sometimes. Come on. I want to talk to you about the winter solstice because clearly it is coming, right? The winter solstice is on Tuesday. It is on Tuesday. And so it is one of those days that our Kemetic ancestors would have recognized that the movements of Ra were of critical, were doing things that were of critical note. And I don't know why this is not moving in the way I'd like. I'm telling you, sometimes technology just doesn't agree with you. Now it's going to move slowly and I don't know. Okay, let's see. Come on. Come on. So I want to talk to you about the winter solstice a little bit. And as we talk about the winter solstice, what I want to do is I want to make sure that you are prepared for this important, very important day. It is one of those days, as I was saying, that our Kemetic ancestors would have been looking very carefully at the movements of Ra. And so let's do this. I am not going to allow this to stop me. Today we're talking about the wisdom in the Kemetic winter solstice observance. Take a look at the image on the screen. What are you seeing? Why don't you tell me what you are seeing? What does it look like? It looks like you're seeing two women, right? Who are they? What are they doing? What is occurring in this image? And what does it have to do with the winter solstice? Let's see if we get some answers. I'd love to know that you are able to recognize these things in your study. What's going on? What do you think? Do we have some answers, Anika?
The lag, I can't see.
Is the lag that much? Mm-hmm. I would love to be able to see what you're thinking, folks. Of course, that also means that with the lag, neither of us is able to. We don't even know if you've answered the question yet. But I'm hoping that you're able to respond. Let me just say that as you are looking at these amazing images on the screen, you are in many ways looking at the great ladies that are so important in one of the seminal narratives of ancient Kemet, one of the stories of ancient Kemet. You are seeing on the left one of the great ladies that is sometimes known as one of the Mary, the doubly beloved. So on the left, you are seeing that great lady that we would have called Inbet-Het. Inbet-Het. I think that's amazing. And then on the right, you're seeing something else. You're seeing, are we connected? Everything's going okay? Just seeing something strange happen over here.
I believe so.
Okay. And on the right, what you are seeing is you are seeing that that she is accompanied with that lady known as Ast. That is what you are seeing. You're seeing Inbet-Het and you're seeing Ast. And you can see that they're kneeling, they're paying homage to, giving respect to something in the middle. And if you look at the way that their hands are being held, It's almost like the position of adoration, but one is further down and one is up. What are they doing? In some ways, what they are doing is they are giving power, they are giving energy to that item in that middle. What is the item? The item is known as the Jed. And because it is known as the Jed, you must understand that what we are seeing is a description of the resurrection of Asar, assisted by these two great ladies, Ast and Inbethet. Ast being the lady, you can tell them by their headdresses here, because the way that they've issued their headdresses, you can even say that it is actually their name. The one on the right is Ast. She is a lady of the seat of the throne. You can even see that they've even put two glyphs outside of her headdress, because they want you to know that they are referencing the lady known as Ast. And the lady on the right is Inbet Het. Their actual headdresses are the glyphs. And so as you look at it, I want you to recognize that you are seeing a depiction of the resurrection of Asar. In many ways, one of the things our ancestors would have done is they would have focused on the resurrection of Asar during the winter solstice. So take a look at this animation, an animation that I like very much, by the way. It demonstrates the tilt of the earth, and you can see the moon going around the earth, but you can see the earth going around the sun. You should know that it is the tilt of the earth that gives us partially our seasons. And the tilt is what allows the sun sometimes to look like, as it moves across the sky. What do I mean when I say moves across the sky? I'll be talking about that in a second. As it moves across the sky, it seems to actually be rising in a different part of the sky. I know that some of you who maybe you're one of those folks that sits or inhabits a part of your home, a part of your apartment, a part of where you live, sort of at the same time every day. I know that I do. I'm usually working in I call it my cockpit. I'm actually working right in the place where I do most of my work in our home. And at certain times of the year, it is very difficult for me to sit in my seat, because the sun is coming directly through the window and alighting right where I am. And so I am almost blinded sitting there. And it only happens a few days of the year. You might say, well, the sun rises every day. Why is it that you only have this problem on several days of the year? Well, because as the sun rises and sets, it doesn't actually look like it's rising and setting in the same place. You would actually have to just chart where the sun rises every part of the year. Now, of course, remember, this is simply how the sun looks like from our vantage point on Earth. The sun is not actually rising and setting. It's how it looks for us based on our movements with regard to the sun. And so as we look at this, you'll note that there's a point where the sun is at the highest point in the sky, and it gives us lots of sun. And as it moves, it is moving at a place where it is rising in a lower point, it looks like, of the sky. And at some point, we're getting a lot less sun. Have you noticed that for the most part where you live, you might actually be seeing that you're actually getting less days of sun of the year? I know I have. I have noticed that it has gotten pretty dark where I am, that I'm not actually seeing much sun right now. I know that when we were coming home, it was really, really dark, and it was in the evening when we left the airport. In the afternoon, it was probably at around 4 o'clock, and it was already getting dark. That's a little unusual. It only happens at certain times of the year, because as we go to the solstice, we're going to get to the point where the sun gives us the least light of the year. And in fact, as the sun rises at a different point in the sky every day, for 3 days, the sun will actually simply rise in the same place. And it also is the point where it is giving us the least sun. So what are we seeing? We are seeing a wonderful demonstration of how we are actually able to see that our ancient ancestors described the sun as dying. It stops moving, it stops being vibrant, it gives us less light. And then after that period, on the third day, it rises in a slightly different place in the sky and gives us a little bit more light. The sun is reborn. And so we should understand that this period where so many people around us, probably all the people in your family except you, that's how it works sometimes, being a person of African descent. You are probably recognizing that most of them are celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ. The problem is they don't recognize that the story is actually about the birth, the death and rebirth of the Son, S-U-N, instead of the Son, S-O-N. That story has been made literal to them because they are unaware of how ancients have been talking about this for so long. Take a look at this image, and you'll actually see that at 4 times of the year, it looks like the sun is doing something very interesting. Either the sun is giving us equal amounts of sun. That's what happens on the equinoxes, which comes from equal. Actually, nox is the word that derives from night. So it's equinox, means like equal night, right? They're trying to say it's giving you the same amount of sun and darkness in that day of the vernal equinox and the autumnal equinox. And then on the solstices, the summer equinox and the winter equinox, the sun seems to stand still. The sun seems to stand still. That's what solstice means. Sol meaning coming from the word that we would get where we derive soul or sun, and stis meaning still. So it means the sun still. So the winter solstice was an important period. Before I speak a bit more about the winter solstice, I want you to recognize that the equinoxes and the solstices actually are separated by the same number of days. So if you were looking at this as a circuit, a circular movement, a time frame that seems to actually be a cycle, something that occurs frequently and reoccurs frequently, you could actually see that you are seeing a cross. This is where the idea of the resurrection comes from, not from the way that the youngest people on the planet have made this story literal. And so, as we think about the solstice, understand that we are remembering Ra, that we're remembering the time that Asar becomes an imperishable soul, that the winter solstice is the shortest day of the year in terms of the amount of sunlight that we receive, that it is the beginning of winter. It is beginning of winter. We are preparing for a colder period. We're preparing for a celebration of the fact that the sun is dying. And you know that we are at the point where we are always at the point where we are only able to live because of the persistence of the sun. If the sun, for some bizarre reason was extinguished tomorrow, we would not be able to live on this planet much longer. It is the sun that allows us to exist here. The planet would become too cold for us to exist in. We would not be able to grow food. That we would not be able to live without the sun. It is the sun that gives us our ability to exist. And so as we get less light, our ancestors would do ceremonial celebrations of the fact that the sun was dying and it was going to be reborn anew. We see that these ideas have gone into the Western world in many, many different ways. I know that we're about to also have the New Year celebrations. And I know that as a child, I remember seeing those images of baby New Year And Father Time, sort of, you would see the old year being an old man, and then you'd see the new year being a young baby. What they didn't tell you is the old man was about to die and be reborn as the baby. They didn't tell it to you that harshly. But that is the way that the ancestors looked at this. The youngest people on the planet, the Tamhu, the European, have actually not understood how our ancient ancestors recognized, charted, and celebrated this reality. That this was not just a scientific or a temporal reality, it was also a divine act in the minds of our ancestors. They instead took the most literal, the least powerful, the least impactful description by making it a historical story about one dude with long hair that wore sandals. That's what they did. This was their misunderstanding. This was their lack of preparation to receive the greatest knowledge of the universe. And so this is important. As we look at this journey, I have to ask you a question. If we are celebrating the as above, so below, as our African ancestors did so frequently, are the seasons, are the movements of the sun also mirrored in our lives? Is that something else that we should be focusing on? I want you to recognize that during the winter solstice, we should be talking about galvanizing, protecting, actually attempting to coalesce vital life energy, because this is described as the death of Asar and the rebirth of Asar, or sometimes described as the birth of Heru. Our ancestors told several stories that were tied into the movements of the sun because they weren't telling a historical story. They didn't need for it to be this dude did it, no one else did it. They didn't need to do that because they knew they were talking about divine sacred symbolism, not about a historical literal story. And so you see here an image of Ast. Look at her, this divine lady, and she's holding her arm. This is one of the ways that you are seeing her represent her sorrow. She is sorrowful because her husband has been killed. Now, I know today we have gotten a bit confused. We think that this is about giving gifts and about worshiping baby Jesus. We even might think it's about Santa Claus. And we have taken in these things that we think are symbols of the Christmas period, when in actuality, they come from older traditions. For example, so many of us have trees up right now. What does a tree have to do about the story of Jesus? What does the tree have to do with the story of Santa Claus? This is because the ancients were protecting the divine energy of the sun, of vitality. And so during the colder period, they would take the live parts of a tree into their home in an idea that they were protecting the vitality of the earth. And of course, we should see that they were doing this with a conifer, a tree that actually gives us pine cones. These trees are some of the oldest trees on the planet. Here's a pine cone. It's actually kind of open here, this one. It's one of the oldest trees on the planet. And you should know that the pine cone was also sacred to Asar. This story is one that the ancients were describing in divine sacred allegory, not in literalness. But the younger people did not understand the story when they saw it. In fact, I'm going to tell you that some of them intentionally made the story literal because they wanted to take control of the spiritual life of all of the people in the Roman Empire. And that is part of what happened. That's part of what happened. I mean, you even see they're by a fireplace and they have a log burning in there. That comes all the way from the time of Odin, who is not anywhere near as old as Asar, but you have to understand that the Christmas celebration is something that has been taken from ancient Kemet. And in many ways, what we should be really talking about is the movements of the sun And if we are going to celebrate this as divine sacred mythos, we should be looking at it as the death and rebirth of Asar. Take a look at this beautiful image of Asar here. And you can see that these staffs that belong to Asar have a pine cone on the top, because the pine cone was sacred to Asar at one point as well. We know that the pine cone becomes sacred in many other traditions. Take a look at this pine cone that is being held by this Assyrian deity here. And there are some that say that the head of Buddha, the Buddha, is meant to look like a pine cone as well.
Sophia says the tree is a representation of the Alcyone spirit god, our sun, in the part of the star on the top of Alcyone.
Alcyone?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what she's referring to when she says Alcyone.
Mm-hmm.
Does she mean halcyon? Are you saying the star at the top? The star at the top of the tree is once again a acknowledgement of the importance of the light and the ability. Huh? I'm sorry. It's a description of the importance of the light that allows us to exist on this plane. The light being allegory both for this light of the sun, but also the light within ourselves, right? Because we have to actually come to a point where we have this rebirth, this spiritual rebirth. This light must occur in each of us. I want you to also recognize that in Kemet, there really they recognize really 3 seasons, not 4, as we do here in the West. They recognize Akhet. Please say Akhet with me at home, which was the inundation season, the time when the Hapi River, now today misnomered as the Nile, overflowed. Then they had Peret, which is the time of growth. This is the time that you knew that those things that had been planted would actually begin to actually go from seed into maturity. And then you would have Shemu. And please say Shemu with me. Shemu was when they would have the harvest. I want you to recognize we're not just talking about growing fruits and vegetables for us to live. We're talking about the seasons that you must go through in order to become the divine being. If you have embraced the call to higher consciousness, these are the things that you must do in your life. What are you planting that must grow inside of you? What are you investing in your spirit, in your life, in your soul that will come forward in its magnificence during the harvest? I sometimes say to people that one of the reasons why they struggle in their lives, now let's go really literally for a second. One of the reasons why they're struggling financially is because they have not recognized these seasons. What sort of investment have you made in yourself that you can now pull dividends out of? What did you plant and protect and cultivate so that it would grow to the level that it needed to in order for you to be able to live in a way that is more comfortable? You must understand that what we are doing is we are recognizing that we are seeing these cycles of growth as things that must occur in our own lives. Take a look at these images. I like these images because it really describes where the idea of the resurrection comes from. I mean, we see here an image of Yeshua or Jesus, and we see him with a halo in the back with a sun with a cross on it. I'm sorry. I thought that Jesus died on a cross. Why is it that we see the cross on the image of the sun behind his head? See, the reality is that some of those people who were taking these stories from more ancient stories that were first told by you, African, they had some knowledge of the stories they were pilfering from, that they were stealing, that they were absconding with. And I'm going to say that it's theft because it's theft if you take something and then do not give credit for the source. They did the opposite. They took these great stories from themselves and then they sought to destroy their origin. But clearly, if you see the sun, the halo behind Jesus's head has a cross on it, they're telling you something about the sun. Not just the sun, S-O-N, but the sun, S-U-N. Take a look again at what happens during the equinoxes and the solstices, and you will recognize what we're referring to. You will recognize what we're referring to. And of course, this is something that our African ancestors even described in their buildings themselves, where they talked about how you could look at the rising of a particular star, that star known as Kemetic, that would give you an understanding of when the new year would begin. Now, I know that some of you are thinking, well, I thought that happened in June and we're talking about December. Yes, but you have to remember the sun does some interesting things at 4 times in the year. The only time you get confused is when you think that this is a literal historical story. They were describing the movements of the sun, not just at one time of the year, but the movements of the sun, particularly, most importantly, at 4 times during the year. That's what they were doing. And part of the story of this narrative of the birth of Jesus, we see 3 kings following a star in the east. Well, that's exactly what we see our Kemetic ancestors describing in stone, thousands of years before anyone ever said the name of Yeshua, Joseph, Mary, or Balthazar. Before any of those names, our ancestors encoded them in the very Merkuti that sit on what today we call the Giza Plateau. They are in alignment with the stars on what we today call Orion's belt, which your ancestors would have called Sahu.
Question, what are those glyphs?
Which glyphs?
It's on the screen.
You talking about the ones on the left?
Mm-hmm.
The ones on the left are actually on the Ben stone, the pyramidion, the top of the pyramid of Amenemhet III. It has been removed. And it is describing the process by which we are able to see the resurrection of the soul. And by extension, they're also describing the coming of the Kemetic New Year and the resurrection and rebirth of Asar. The person that is moving backwards and holding the star, Sa, or sometimes called Sahu, he actually is a version of Asar. And so that is what you're seeing. These glyphs come from, they're actually carved. You'll see them in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, and they're carved on the Merkut of Amenemhat III. That pyramidion has been removed. And so let me end here and ask you a critical question, because we are way over in terms of time. What does the origin of the resurrection mean to you? What does it mean that we are talking about the resurrection of the divine spirit? What does it mean that we are at a point where we're going to receive much less light, where we see the sun die and then be reborn? If we are the practitioners of Kemetic spirituality, you should be preparing to kill those things within you that must die in order for you to be reborn more powerfully. That's what you should be doing. What are the things that need to go and the things that need to come back into existence? Those things that need to be reborn within you, Asar. I know that one of the things that we'll be talking about for the winter solstice this Tuesday is the ceremony that can be called the vanquishing of Apep, the destruction of Apep. And as you stomp out that image of inequity, that image of Isfet, that image of chaos, you should be thinking about those things that are within you, those practices, those beliefs, those behaviors that you need to leave behind in order to be reborn anew. We're not just talking about something that occurs celestially. We're not just talking about a period of the year. We should be recognizing that our ancestors saw this as a divine celestial instruction occurring above us. and we were being taught by the heavens. So what is it you must do during this time? What should you be ridding yourself of? What should you be preparing yourself for? Over the course of the next few days, you should really be thinking about these things. And it would be excellent for you to do a little bit of fasting too. So you can do your fasting, you can do your meditation and your preparation for this divine day. You should know that the Shrine of Ma'at is also leading a fast. We lead a fast going into each of the equinoxes and solstices. And so you should also be looking at our Facebook page to see more about what our Health and Wellness Committee is doing. It'll give you a sense of how you can move into this time in power so that you can reclaim those fundamental powers, those fundamental abilities that your ancestors described. We simply want you to remember that which you've always known, that you are a divine entity, imbued with all of the features, all of the talents of the divine. So please be ready. Tuesday, we will be seeing the death and then the rebirth of the sun, S-U-N, that we could describe as the sun, S-O-N, but you should understand, as a practitioner of the highest and oldest spiritual order, the greater divine meaning in its allegory. So with that, I say the divine force in me greets the divine force in you. I truly hope that you are preparing for this event and that you will be celebrating with the Shrine of Ma'at. You know that our celebrations, while they've been virtual during the pandemic, will usually occur at 7 p.m. on the day. So you should expect to see our solstice, winter solstice celebration live on our Facebook page. Don't miss it. Can we begin with our, can we end with our final affirmation?
So Twa'u, everyone, I know it has been a crazy day. You know, we have to just say that it's been a really difficult period for us. It's been a great period in terms of what we've been able to do, the people we've been able to meet, the places we've been able to go. But we literally have been traveling 24 hours straight, where we took a cab from the central region of Ghana for 4 hours into Accra. And then from there, had to take a flight into Cairo, which was 6 hours. And then from there, have a layover, take a flight from Cairo to the United States, which was another 12 hours, and then have to drive from Queens to Harlem. So literally, we've been on the road for a long period of time. So if we seem a little delirious, that's why. And we also are dealing with some jet lag. So we apologize, but we are in good spirits. We are excited. We have so much to share with you. We are so happy to be able to continue doing all the work that we're doing, no matter how busy it keeps us. We are still happy to always be with our Shrine family. And I want to say thank you to all of those who made donations recently. Definitely Sister Lisa Attaway, M. Herbert, Lucille Scott, Dion out in Arizona. You know, thank you so much for all that you've done for us. Jose Jean-Baptiste, I know you've been a regular donor and have been sending us money. So we just want to say thank you so much. And thank you to all of you who have been making donations, whether it's through stars on Facebook, whether it's been through Cash App, whether it's been through PayPal. We appreciate everything that you've done, or if it's just by being here, you know, just by letting us know that you are tuning in, by sharing the link to others so that they can be involved and be part of the Shrine family. Again, please make sure to go to our website, www.shrineofma'at.org, to get your application, to fill out if you're interested in being an initiate of the Shrine. We are starting our interviews. Actually, they're ongoing. They started this month and will go until probably early February, since we will start initiation around mid-February to late February. Or actually late February to early March, excuse me. So get your applications in as soon as possible. And since we just got back from Kemetic in Ghana, we have to also remind you that we are taking a group there in August. So if you want to see the work that we're doing there, the new shrine we're trying to develop out in Ghana, our home that we're building out in Ghana, get to meet the community that we are now Queen Mother and Chief of out in Moree in the Central Region. Please come with us to Ghana, or if you want to just come to Kemet, you also have that option where we can talk about the history, the spirituality, the culture. You're going to be with our brother Yasir Hotep and do yoga with us as well. So there's so much going on through the shrine. We're excited. We want to share it all with you, and we hope that you will join us in this entire endeavor. Okay. All right. So with all of that, let's do our final affirmation. We're going to do the Amasu, one of the oldest prayers found in the Reu and Pert Imperu and Ger, the book of coming forth by day from night. And we're going to stand in the pose of adoration as always. And we will start with the language of our ancestors, the Ntu Nter, and then translate it into English. So please repeat after me. Amasu and Pante.
Amasu and Pante.
Sauksu emitran Pante.
Sauksu emitran Pante.
Autu Aura.
Autu Aura.
Maketi Paherura.
Maketi Paherura.
Give yourself to one Most High.
Keep yourself daily for the divine.
And do it tomorrow.
And do it tomorrow.
Just as you did today.
As you did today.
Twa Winter.
Twa Winter.
Thank you to you. Thank you to Divine. And we hope to see you again in the next 2 weeks.
Yes. Please go forward in divine balance, Shema Ma'at, and we will see you soon.
Shema Ma'at.
Peace.